Welcome in, guys. Another edition of Right on Rangers Live. Thank you for joining tonight. Of course, here, guys, at Right on Rangers, we cover everything sports, but we put a little extra emphasis on the Texas Rangers and all the teams we love from the great state of Texas. And we're coming at you tonight after a 1-0 Texas Rangers victory. Man, it is nice to be on the other side of a 1-0 ball game. Of course, you remember last week, Rangers lose 1-0, a real tough one to the A's, who surprisingly are actually winning some series this year. Rangers win this one 1-0. Great game where really the bats didn't completely have it. You had a couple of guys out. You had Langford sitting tonight. You had Seager sitting tonight. Real good win for the Rangers considering you weren't at full strength. Look, the bats, they weren't totally awake tonight, but you'll take the win. And, of course, Lorenzen going against his former team, not really having a spring training. Lorenzen, of course, doing some rehab starts down in the minors for the Rangers the past couple of weeks, coming up against his former team and pitching an outstanding game. I mean, he did walk some guys. You look at the box score, and he did definitely allow some base runners. He had to rely on the double play ball. I think he got 3 or 4 tonight. I want to say 3 off the top of my head. But he goes 5 innings, 3 hits, did walk 5 total, struck out 4. Lorenzen absolutely pitched well tonight and showed that under pressure, right, when the game was on the line, when there were base runners on, he still got outs, made good pitches. I think it was a very positive start from Lorenzen tonight, considering his real first major league action. I mean, obviously in the minor leagues, it's a little bit different. And even in spring training, you're still seeing some major league guys. So for Lorenzen, first start against the Tigers, a 9-6 team, to come out and give you 5 strong. There were too many walks tonight. That's something that he definitely can work on and get better at. That's correctable. But made great pitches under pressure. That's what did it for me. Number of times he had runner on second, he had bases loaded, and it ends up he's getting out of the jam. And I'll tell you what, that's not easy to do on the road in your very first start. So Lorenzen, I think, is up there for me, player of the game probably. I mean, there's some other guys I think you can point to as well, but Lorenzen coming in, starting for Bradford, who just went on the IL. Very pleased with the start that we got from Lorenzen tonight. Absolutely. Let's talk about a couple of other big things, too. Leclerc. I know that Leclerc has been the subject of a lot of scorn from Rangers fans over the past couple of weeks. He has not been sharp, but tonight he was. Tonight, Leclerc looked outstanding. And this is the kind of performance that I said you could come to expect from him in streaks. And he's not going to do it consistently, but tonight, 2 innings pitched, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. Very impressed with what you got from Leclerc tonight. I was not so sure when they were trying to bring him out for, I believe, the 7th inning. I was thinking, you sure about this, Bochy? You sure about this? Right? You had gotten a decent inning from Leclerc in the 6th, and a strong part of me was saying, please do not send Leclerc out for another one. Leave the confidence alone. He looks great. He had a good night. Don't bring him back out for the 7th. Turns out those guys get paid the big bucks for a reason. Leclerc comes out, throws a great 7th inning, and goes 2 strong. Hey, just checking out the comments right now. What's up, Griff? What's up, Tyler? Absolutely. Rangers channel for sure, all during Rangers season. After the games, we'll try and go live as much as we can, talk a little Rangers baseball. Appreciate you joining us, bud. So, look, a thing that I told y'all was going to happen, I like to pat myself on the back occasionally. The Rangers were going to quietly start mixing and matching at the end of games. They weren't going to come out and have a big press conference that Leclerc isn't the closer anymore. They weren't going to make a big issue of it, but they were going to start situationally matching up guys. And that's what you saw tonight. Leclerc comes in a tight game. It's still 1-0 in the 6th inning, right? He faced some good batters in the Detroit lineup. And then you have Yates coming on to close the game at the end. Who knows if they stick with this? It's not going to surprise me if Leclerc is back out there at some point in the 9th inning. Right? It's not going to surprise me at all. But I think you're seeing Bochy and Maddox quietly start moving guys around into some favorable matchups. They have all the data and analytics on who these guys face and match up well against. So not shocking to see Yates close out this game. He's been great all year. And then Leclerc gets a solid role, kind of in that setup mode, 6th inning, 7th inning. You get Robertson in for the 8th. So quietly, a little bit of a change at the closer position, right? I'm sure they're going to ask Bochy about it tonight, and he's probably not going to give anybody anything on it. He'll probably give some company line, but I think this is what they needed to do really the entire season. There was no reason for them to do any kind of formal, you're the 8th inning guy, you're the 9th inning guy, you're the 7th. This is exactly what they need to do. Mix and match. Robertson can pitch the 6th and the 7th occasionally. Yates can do the 8th. Hopefully Leclerc can get back to a spot where they feel comfortable throwing him back out there in the 9th. I prefer one of those 3-run saves, if you know what I mean. Like it's 3-0, right? Or even a 4-run lead if you want Leclerc in the 9th. Ease him back into that role. Let's not do 1-run game on the road. I don't know if I'm ready for that, but I'll leave it up to Bochy and Maddox. But I got to give some props to Leclerc. He has been getting a lot of hate from Rangers fans. And I absolutely was not pleased with, trust me, with his performance so far this season. I'm not going to say he's been great. He's been outstanding. I did kind of say all along, you had to be careful. You need Leclerc to be good. You can't abandon him. You can't mess with his psyche or his confidence. You need Leclerc to be good this year. And you need to do whatever you can to get that to happen. And looks like they're going to be moving him into some different spots, some different roles to try and get that confidence back up to where now maybe he can come and get you in the 9th inning and get you a win. So Leclerc, great game tonight. I'll just be checking the comments off and on, guys. You know how it is. We've got a lot of different stuff going on with TikTok and YouTube and Facebook. We're probably biting off a little more than we could chew, to be honest, but trying to get out there to as many people as possible, so bear with me. But look, a couple other things I wanted to make note of today. Really thought and have thought that Jonah Heim has continued to swing a good bat for the Rangers. He's been giving you some quality at bats at a time where you really need that all-star Jonah Heim, that 95 RBI Jonah Heim to show up. You've got Josh Young out. You got Corey Seager out today, but Seager not completely back to his normal self in my mind, right? I think Siegs is hitting over 300 still. I mean, let's not be too picky, right? But I think that with Seager not completely in full stride yet, with Josh Young and that injury, I think that Jonah Heim swinging a hot bat is exactly what the doctor ordered. So to see Heim go 2 for 4 tonight, to see him doing so well up to this point, I think probably for the past week, love it, right? I've kind of said since the beginning of the preseason, spring training, you really didn't need Heim to be a stud this year with how stacked the Rangers offense was. Now you've got some injuries and some guys recovering from injuries. I still don't think you need Jonah Heim to be, hitting 30 homers and driving in 125, but getting this kind of performance and production from him is outstanding. So Jonah Heim, big props. He's probably the other guy I would say potential player of the game tonight. Just some of the innings that he started off with hits. He had that double earlier on in the game. Really like what I'm seeing from him. And then, of course, controlling the pitching staff. Jonah Heim, Gold Glover. Working with Lorenzen for the first time. That's tough, right? Heim hasn't really worked with Lorenzen all preseason, right? They didn't get a lot of time together, if any, really before the season started. So for Jonah Heim to go in and get Mike Lorenzen throwing good pitches, quality pitches in good spots, love to see it. That was a great tandem tonight. Jonah Heim is so invaluable to this Rangers team. Doesn't always do it with the bat, but the way that he controls this pitching staff, the way that he works that glove back there behind the plate, throwing runners out, keeping things close, fielding and blocking those pitches in the dirt. Dude is amazing back there behind the dish. So invaluable to the success of this club. So Jonah Heim, probably my offensive player of the night. Simi goes 1 for 4 tonight with an RBI, 286 average on the season. So Simi, again, continuing to stay hot in my mind. He really finished that Houston series on a positive note. Of course, the 3-run homer at the end of the game against the Astros. The bats got going a little too late. But Simi heating up a little bit. That's exactly what you need to at the top of that order. Now, just to do a little recap for you, there's not much to recap, by the way. There was a couple of pretty big spots, some key moments. Bottom of the 4th inning, Tigers had runners on first and second, and Lorenzen got a big double play. Matt Vierling for the Tigers grounds into it, keeps it a 0-0 ball game. You also had top of the 5th, Leote coming up with a big base hit, what ultimately ended up being a base hit. We had runners on first and second. Jonah Heim had a leadoff double, top of the 5th we're talking about right now. We had another guy get on first, and then after that, Leote comes up, no outs with 2 runners on. Kind of squared to bunt at first. I don't know if you guys caught that, but Leote comes up in the 5th inning there, and he kind of squares to bunt at first, and it doesn't go so well on the very first pitch, and you're kind of thinking to yourself, here we go. This is literally identical to what he's done in any other bunt situation earlier this season, right? I think both times I can think of that the Rangers have asked Leote Taveras to bunt, it has not gone well. So to see him square up in that moment, top of the 5th, and really at the very first pitch, not look very comfortable, you're kind of thinking, how badly is this going to go? But Leote, after taking that first strike, he lines just an absolute laser ground ball to the first baseman who's not able to handle it. I actually really thought Jonah Heim should have scored on that Leote hit. I felt like Beasley probably, just from what I saw on the replay, didn't get a great read on it. But I think with Heim, you're automatically going when you see ground ball. Now, maybe he was a little in between because it was kind of one of those low liner ground balls, if you know what I mean. So maybe Heim just didn't get a great read in that spot. But I'm thinking to myself, ground ball right side as a base runner, you're going full speed. I really don't know why Beasley would have held him up in that moment. Now, look, there's no outs and you've got Semien coming up. That's probably reason enough. That being said, I think Heim would have scored pretty easily. When he hit third base, they hadn't even picked up the ball yet. And I believe the second baseman is still going back, right? He was going back on the ball to pick it up. So that means he's got momentum going towards the outfield. It would have taken an absolute cannon throw right on the money to get somebody in that spot. But look, they end up getting at least 1 run in that. And I think they could have probably gotten more and should have. So at that point, Leote hits the ground ball that deflects into the outfield. You have Heim stop at third base. So you got bases loaded. You've got nobody out. So you should at least, in my mind, just kind of baseball unwritten rules here. You got to get 2. You got to get 2 when there's bases loaded, no outs. So Simi comes up, hits a ground ball, avoids the double play. So you've got a run scoring and you've got runners on first and on third with 1 out. Still a lot of ways that you can score that run. Ground ball right side. You have, of course, Jankowski up. So Jankowski's got some wheels. So ground ball right side, unless it is just an absolute 110 mile an hour tattooed ground ball, you're going to probably see Jankowski beat out anything on the ground. A lot of ways that you can score a runner from third with 1 out. Rangers really should have gotten 2 in that inning in the top of the 5th. It didn't work out, right? Didn't work out. Back-to-back outs and a 1-0 ball game nonetheless allows us to at least take the lead. Jankowski, of course, flied into the double play. He got that ball kind of like, I would say, shallow left field, and the Rangers are trying to take a chance there. Look, with Evan Carter coming up next, I don't know if they should have. Walsh doesn't run particularly well, and he ended up getting doubled up at home. They maybe, I think, could have allowed Carter to take that at bat. Carter has been hot lately. I don't know if they should have sent Walsh in that situation. Not quite deep enough. I get it. There's 2 outs technically when the ball is caught and you're trying to score. But when your 3-hole hitter is coming up next, I don't know if that's a moment where you want to take a risk. But I understand it. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say like it was a terrible decision to send Jared Walsh on that Jankowski fly ball. But I do think with the 3-hole hitter coming up, kind of the same mentality as to why Beasley held up Jonah Heim on that Leote ground ball. It's like, we've got a good hitter coming up next. It's not like it's the very bottom of the order. Let's give Carter a shot to drive this guy in. Look, all this stuff is just fun little minutia we get to talk about after a great Rangers win. So we're just being picky, talking ball. That's all. After a great Rangers win, none of this stuff really matters. What matters is the victory. And it's a great thing when the Rangers get back on track after a tough couple of games in Houston on Saturday and Sunday. Really looked like a promising series in Houston after that big Rangers win Friday night. Rangers drop a couple, though, Saturday, then Sunday. Really glad that the Rangers got the win today. Let's keep going. Oh, by the way, I'll check the comments. Mike, thanks for tuning in. Scott, what's up, buddy? Luke, yes, I do play some MLB. I'm pretty busy. I stay pretty busy, but every once in a while, I have some time, squeeze in some time for some MLB The Show. Love that game. And as y'all saw probably last week, couple videos I put out ago, sometimes I like to take out my Rangers frustration in the show as well. So the MLB The Show, great game. Love it. Absolutely. So thank you so much, guys, for all the comments and for tuning in. You know, I appreciate you guys. Let's wind our way down here, and we'll talk a little bit about the game tomorrow too. Let's go up and down the box score a little bit more. We talked about outstanding performances from Jose Leclerc. Robertson had a big moment too, getting out of the 8th inning, and then Yates comes on and pitches a clean 9th. Is there anything better than a 1-run game and your closer comes in and just sits down the other side 1, 2, 3? I mean, there is nothing better than that. Just a zero stress 9th inning when you're up by a run. So Kirby Yates, what a guy, man. It is 0 ERA for him. That was such a great pickup for CY and for this Rangers front office. Kirby Yates, a veteran dude that just knows how to pitch, and I am so glad that they picked him up. Where would we be without some of these veteran pickups that the Rangers were able to pull off in the offseason? Robertson, Yates. I mean, these guys are literally holding the bullpen together at this point. You've got Spores down. You've got Leclerc regaining his confidence. Seriously, those two guys, Robertson and Yates, are holding this whole thing together for us. So hopefully in the games to come, the Rangers can get out to some big leads, and those guys won't have to be relied on every single game. But the fact that they were used today does limit us a little bit going forward, I think, in the rest of the series. You've got to remember, this is a 4-game set. Rangers have a day game tomorrow. Then we go to Atlanta, and I believe we're playing 2 or 3 there, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a little bit of a tough stretch for the Rangers right now. It absolutely is a little bit of a tough stretch for them. I believe it is 3 games, but I'm going to double check on that while we're talking right now and see what's going on with that schedule the rest of the way. But it's a little bit of a grind, right? And then the Rangers do get to come back home after that the next week, so a week from now, which will be great. But I'll tell you what, this is a little bit of a rough road trip for the Rangers. You've got Astros, you've got Tigers, and then you've got Braves. So not an easy stretch by any means. Wasn't shocked to see Seager out or Langford. It was just kind of one of those games where after really trying to win that Sunday game in Houston, of course, Sunday is always going to be a potential off day for some guys. But I was glad to see the Rangers really try and win that Sunday game. You need as many wins against the Astros as you can. It always comes down, it seems like, to a few games at the end of the season. You want to be able to have that tie break against the Astros. So not shocked to see some guys getting the day off today. Langford, I think, has been playing well, maybe just kind of a routine maintenance day for him. I mean, of course, guys, Langford not crushing it quite yet, but he's still a rookie, still figuring it out. Barely played any minor league baseball. I think the fact that he's hitting almost 270, right, and that he's taking walks and seeing the ball well at the plate is great. But who knows? Maybe this one-day reset for Langford is just exactly what he needed, and he's going to come out the rest of this Detroit series and absolutely kill it. That's what I hope for Langford. I'll highlight a couple comments here. I really do agree with this by and large. Now, look, I gotta tell you, I wouldn't mind if Robertson closed some games. It wouldn't bother me. I think that they are going to can continue to do some mixing and matching with the ninth inning, if I had to guess. But look, if Yates is the guy, I'm okay with it too. Yates has been great this season. He's been absolutely outstanding. And just being real, I'm glad to see that he came in and did what he did, because if Yates comes in tonight and blows this game, it's just such a cluster for the rest of the bullpen and what to do, because now you've got multiple guys that can't get it done in the ninth inning, and now you're really looking around and wondering, what are we going to do here? So I am so glad that Yates, in really one of his first opportunities in a tight game in the ninth inning, is able to nail it down, get us the victory, put us at 9-8 on the season. And we'll take a look around the rest of the AL West here and see what's going on. So the Braves and the Stros are playing right now. Braves are visiting the Stros, and it's 2-1 Braves in the bottom of the sixth inning. So we will be big Braves fans for the rest of this week while they play the Astros. And then we will shift gears quickly when we go to Atlanta to play them later on. Now, let's look at some other teams. Mariners just started. They are hosting the Reds, and it is a 0-0 ball game. Looks like the top of the first just ended. And Rangers, of course, pick up the win 1-0 over the Tigers. The Angels did win today. So fortunate that the Rangers were able to get the victory. Angels would have taken over first place with a victory tonight. So the Rangers maintain a half-game lead over the Angels in the AL West. And the Athletics are down 1-0. They are hosting the Cardinals this week. So the A's down 1-0 in the bottom of the first. So we'll do some scoreboard watching the rest of the night, but hopefully we will get as many L's in that ALS win-loss column as we can. That is the hope, and we'll continue to update you on those scores if we get any new updates before the show comes to an end. Let's look at the minor leagues. Oh, perfect. So Nate Lowe hit a homer today in his rehab start. That's awesome. I was hoping somebody was going to give me a Nate Lowe update. Man, you know, Nate Lowe is really a great hitter when he's going well. And by and large, I really like what Nate Lowe can do up at the plate. I know he had some tough times in the postseason and at the back end of last season. But if Nate Lowe can come back, really get his stride, and do some damage in the middle of that order for the Rangers, that's going to be so huge. So I really hope Nate Lowe does continue to do well in this rehab stint, and then maybe this weekend we see him, maybe early next week. That's probably what I would guess. I don't know how long they're trying to give Nate Lowe down there. Didn't get much of a spring training, so maybe they're going to give him a week, maybe a week and a half, but I'm sure we'll see him sometime next week if he continues to do well. That would be a huge boost for this Rangers squad, getting Nate Lowe back. Look, Jared Walsh has done very well in his place. I think you weren't really knowing what to expect from Jared Walsh at the beginning of this season. I think he's giving you some quality at bats. No, the stats aren't like jumping off the page, but I think he's filled in adequately. And of course, they've got Zeke Duran playing there occasionally too. But I don't think, Walsh has done a bad job at all. In fact, I'm glad that they've gotten the contributions from him that they have. So Walsh hitting 240 on the season, by the way. So look, in today's MLB, not a terrible average. Obviously, growing up, it used to be over 300. Anything under 275 was like meh. But now it's like if you're hitting 250, you're good. Zeke Duran goes 2 for 4. By the way, we're talking about Zeke, who's playing some first base this year too. So he had a nice little night as well. But Nate Lowe, the Rangers can get him back. That would be great, especially if he comes back swinging a good bat. Now, let's check out, like I said, kind of the rest of the week, and then we'll preview the matchup for tomorrow. So from what it looks like, we have, let me see, games on Friday, games on Saturday, and then on Sunday. So it is a little 3-game set with the Braves from the looks of it. And hopefully the Rangers can take all 3. Oh, my goodness. This just made my night a little worse, though, seeing this game this Friday against the Braves. Apple TV. Apple TV Plus, to be more specific. Ugh. Why do they do this to us? Why do they do this to us? Apple TV Plus, this Friday night, huge game, Braves, Rangers, two of the best teams in baseball, and you put it on a subscription service. This should be on like Fox Primetime, man. That's going to be a great game and a great series, watching the Braves and the Rangers square off, and they just got to go and ruin it by putting it on Apple TV. Come on, man. All right, I won't go off on another blackout rant. It's too easy. It's way too easy. Let's talk about tomorrow real quick before we log off. We got Jon Gray going against Mize tomorrow. Mize is at 4.82 ERA, 6 Ks. Nobody really has a lot of at-bats against Mize. Looks like Garcia is 0 for 4. Heim is 1 for 3. Walsh is 1 for 2 with the home run. So I'm sure we'll see Walsh again at first base. And then on the other side, Gray has faced this Detroit lineup, or at least the guys in this lineup, a few times. Baez has 6 at-bats. Kelly, the catcher, McKinstry, 7 at-bats. And then you got like Torkelson and Urshela, 2 and 3. So, look, neither pitcher has faced the opposite lineup very much. So, hard to know what completely to expect. Jon Gray, of course, coming off a 9 strikeout game his last time out. He got into some trouble. He was, I think y'all remember I talked about this. He had like 20-plus foul balls allowed in that game against the A's. It was a day game, a getaway game. It was that 1-0 game, actually. So Jon Gray kind of got the short end of the stick last time he was out when they were playing the A's. So we'll see what happens. And if Jon Gray can have a real crisp, sharp inning, even though he struck out 9 last time, I don't know I would say that the start from Jon Gray was super crisp against the A's. And it was against the A's. I know the A's are doing better this year. But I still say, you got to take those games with a grain of salt. It's not a lineup that is very robust. In fact, I was talking about that A's lineup with my buddies after that Thursday game. This is last Thursday, so about 4 or 5 days ago. There were 6 or 7 guys in that A's lineup hitting under 200. Literally, like 6 out of the 9 hitters hitting like $150, $160. So I can't say that A's lineup is anything that impresses me. So Jon Gray striking out 9, I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. Let's see how he does against the Detroit Tigers lineup that is a little bit more formidable. This Detroit Tigers team is right in the thick of it in the AL Central. They're at 9-7 now. Rangers at 9-8. So these are two teams that have had about the same amount of success so far. We'll see how Jon Gray does his next time out. Hopefully, it'll be another 9 strikeout performance, and we can get Jon Gray his very first win of the season right now, 0-1 with that 4.38 ERA. So we'll check comments, and we'll look around a little bit, see if y'all had anything. But as I always say, really appreciate you guys tuning in, supporting the channel, liking, sharing, following, subscribing, all that good stuff. It means a lot to us. We just love getting on here talking baseball. We talk a lot of Rangers, but we love baseball here in general. So, look, thank you. I know you could be watching a ton of other stuff, but thanks for spending a little bit of time here with me after a Rangers win, 1-0 over the Tigers today. So, thank you guys. Appreciate you. We'll be back tomorrow night. I don't think we're going to be going right after the game because I believe it is a early start tomorrow. So, we're at 10:10 Vegas start. So I do have a day job, believe it or not. So I will be probably getting on a little bit later on, maybe early evening, if I had to guess. It looks like it's a 12:10 Texas time start. So we'll get on a little bit later. We'll hopefully have a lot of time to stew on a Rangers back-to-back victory and come up with a lot of good stuff for you guys. So we'll look to hop on sometime tomorrow, late afternoon, early evening. I hope Gray does bounce back, Mike. I would love to see it. Look, 9 Ks in his last time out. It's hard to get too picky. That being said, I'd like to see him not have to go as long into some of the at-bats, man. Some of those at-bats against the A's, Gray was throwing 6, 7, 8 pitches before he finally got that strikeout. I know it sounds ironic coming off a 9 strikeout game, but I do hope Jon Gray can miss a few more bats tomorrow and not have to go like 10 pitches deep every single hitter like he did against the A's. Mike, appreciate that, man. Truly, thank you for that. Thanks for the kind words, man. And thank you for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow, guys. And hope you all have a good rest of the night and a good Tuesday tomorrow. And as we always say, God bless and go Rangers.